It's a rare thing to see a game release that just destroys the narratives that are being pushed online and in various different marketing campaigns. And I would say that's even more exceptionally rare when a single game comes out and does a hat trick, single-handedly exposing the industry, subverting expectations, and exposing the grifters who seek to enrich themselves rather than to celebrate a great game. Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about how Clare Obscur's Expedition 33 has single-handedly destroyed 3 separate narratives that have been pushed online in just one weekend, in just 3 days. This is a literal wake-up call for so many people, and I'm honestly all in for it. This is gonna have some spice to it, just to warn you now, but at the end I think it does highlight just how much gamers love playing amazing games. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to break down the 3 narratives and really what's being talked about and give you guys my perspective, and especially why I think this is interesting. If you are watching this video trying to decide if you should play this game, please do yourself a favor and at least give it a shot. If you have Xbox Game Pass, you can just download the game on PC or on Xbox and start playing right now. There is so little barrier for entry with that as an option, but also the devs themselves are only charging $50 for the game. And really what kind of kicks it off, first and foremost, over the course of 3 days, they have sold over 1 million copies. This is in line. I've been playing through Game Pass and I've been actually on the fence, and maybe I will pull the trigger and just buy a copy to support these devs a little more because of just how good this game is. But the first narrative is on the state of the industry, really focusing in on turn-based combat, but also on AAA games. I covered this a little bit on the podcast, but Sebi Webbs, who ended up going, like, there's a big conversation kicked off online about it, saying for 20 years straight, Final Fantasy fans have been gaslit that no one wants turn-based combat, that it will never sell, and they were wrong for even wanting it. Yet Expedition 33 destroyed that lie in a single day. Now, I said also you had Metaphor in last fall, and then people rightfully so in the comments reminded me of Baldur's Gate 3, which is a game I bring up a lot, so it's really funny that it slipped my mind because I didn't think of that as a turn-based game because of just the different perspective. When I was thinking of it, I was thinking more, it reminds me closer to Metaphor. But there's also other really great turn-based games. Think about Dragon Quest, a series that is near and dear to my heart. You think of like Bravery Default and all the other turn-based quote-unquote Final Fantasies that are out there, and that's really what the conversation ended up kind of going into. But it's not just a conversation about turn-based combat, it's a conversation about 30 devs under 5 years. The fact that they can celebrate 1 million sales and they don't have to hit some insane number, because if they had to sell 10 million, 1 million sales isn't enough. But they only had to sell maybe what, 500,000 to break even, and now here they are making money. People are celebrating it and more people are checking it out. But that's not all. Legendary Drops shares this out. He says, people keep making the Expedition 33 and Final Fantasy comparisons. While I would love to see turn-based combat, I'm not mad at Square Enix like many others. At least they experiment, reinvent, and take some risks. The same can't be said for almost every other 20-plus year gaming franchise. Now, Juice Man Vaughn, in response to Gene Park, because I want to give you guys the 2 perspectives here, Gene says, nope, we're not doing this. I love my sexy fashion model alien super mutant freaks of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has vibes that are hard to replicate across media, even anime, and I welcome a new entry every time in terms of the Clare Obsidian Final Fantasy if it was good. Now, Juice says in reply, I understand where Gene's coming from, but I want to see Final Fantasy get dragged because Yoshi P essentially said that audience wouldn't want a game like an Expedition 33 that had turn-based gameplay and with realistic graphics that wouldn't be a good fit. And he was dead wrong. It's interesting to see the evolution within Yoshi P's world, because I would argue Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth do highlight some of the weaknesses of Final Fantasy XIV, and especially with Final Fantasy XVI. While I adore all of those games in their own way, stepping into the world of Remake really does highlight the lack of an RPG, the lack of these strategies and tactics that is one of the real things that got me hooked on the series beyond just the story. And so I do think within Square Enix, the challenge that we've seen there is their over-reliance, their over-leaning into being this story-driven experience, this movie-driven experience. And that's really where I think all of gaming, all of this has really kind of have its roots in. Gaming has been trying to become Hollywood, and yet look at where Hollywood is right now. It's in the exact same spot as some of these games. When these companies prioritize these games, all in all, that is what we want. When they focus in on gameplay and build that up and have a vision for it, that is what we need. When they don't sit here and worry about how they're going to monetize us to the moon and back, that is what is refreshing, and that is what Expedition 33 does so well. Now, the second narrative that this game steps up and kind of puts its little boot on is essentially console war narrative. We're seeing, and we've seen this for a long time, Game Pass cannibalizes sales. So here's the conversation that's happening online. Colt Eastwood says Game Pass cannibalizing sales, Clare Obscur Expedition 33, massive success in and outside of Xbox Game Pass. Congrats to Sandfall, and you can see 1 million copies sold that he's quoting. Cult Classic Cage says Game Pass cannibalizes sales, PC gamers don't buy game. And then he shut the F up and a limo, and you can see the numbers continuing to grow on Steam as more and more people check it out. Risk It for the Biscuit talks about how the PlayStation fanboys are trying hard to discredit Game Pass with a meme of Expedition 33 and the Oblivion remake with Game Pass in this regards. Now, I would push back on a lot of this, namely because we're seeing Microsoft themselves deprioritize Game Pass and its importance to them. It's still a value, and as a parent, it's a huge value to me. It might be a value to you. It really just depends on your situation. It's an option, has always been an option. There was fear that that was the only way that we were going to play games. Like the phrase, you'll own nothing and be happy, really comes to mind, and I don't like that, and I don't think we should accept that. I think we should push back against that aspect. But all said and done, it's looking pretty dadgum good for the game and for the service. Now, when we talk about it, cannibalizing sales doesn't mean it breaks the game or it hurts the game, but it does take some sales away from people who would have perhaps bought the game but haven't. But I think essentially what it does is getting the game out to more people, generating the level of buzz that this game has, builds momentum, and will actually lead to more sales in the long run. The same way a well-timed and placed demo could do, Game Pass has kind of stepped up to fill in that gap. So console warriors also forget in this case, why is this game not necessarily getting as much drama and pushback that you would see normally from, any console warrior on any side? Well, outside of the Switch, the game's everywhere. You can play it on PC, you can stream it via GeForce Now, you can also play it on PlayStation or Xbox. In fact, if you want to rent games through Game Pass in that regards, you have Xbox as a product. So if that's an option for you from a financial perspective, bada bing, bada boom. If you don't mind purchasing games and you want that experience, and well, you got the PlayStation. So there is that marketplace of ideas at work. I'm really excited to see how it goes. Now, let's jump into our third and final narrative that is being destroyed by Expedition 33 online. This is truly, truly funny, but this is going to be a little bit of spice. This is what I was talking about. The third one is Gamergate, or I guess what maybe people are trying to label Gamergate 3.0 at this point. The culture war within gaming, regardless of where you fall in line with this debate with culture war within gaming, I think it's clear to see, and we just state this as a fact, that 2.0 last year, 2024, was a real win for the Gamergaters out there. Now, whether you like that or not, it really doesn't matter. That is essentially the reality. We're seeing all these game firms and even marketing have that effect and move into that. But within all sides of this debate, you have good actors and bad actors on both sides, because at the end of the day, we're all just humans. Now, that aside, this started with a tweet in which for me, it is so infuriating, because it goes to showcase just how people who get used to getting some attention online for a period of time have to really grasp at straws to try and keep it. So anything other than perhaps could possibly, I'll get into my thoughts in a second. Let me just show you the tweet and we'll dive into it. Yorch Torch Games writes, gamers, Expedition 33 reports are true. How does this game open with a sundered early 1900s Paris, set to a beautiful French song, end up with a town full of characters straight from South of Midnight? It breaks immersion, it disrespects European culture, and praise the community note lords, because the farming that people do for engagement to try and make money is absurd. He gets community noted, which means they don't make any money. Expedition 33 cannot functionally disrespect European culture because it is in and of itself not set in France or in Europe. It is a fantasy game set in a fictional land of Lumiere, which merely draws inspiration from French Belle Epoque time period. I'm so glad it got community noted, because that in and of itself drives me. Now, there's some worse tweets out there, and there can be quite infuriating, but it's interesting to see because what was once a coalition of the Gamergate 2.0 movement has splintered off into various different factions. This was always going to happen. This is exactly what I told you guys would happen within these movements, because not everybody is 100% aligned on what the stated goals should be. Now, the general rule ends up being the most extreme of the far left and far right are the ones who get the most attention, and thus, for the most part, generally define what the narrative is. But overall, at least from my understanding, the baseline shared goals of the left and the right is to make gaming a better hobby, a better place for everybody, and how you do it is a little bit different, and how you perceive that it can be improved is obviously where the disagreements lie. Now, God Empress of Mankind is quote tweeting this, and I think this is interesting because we're seeing this fraction happening right here. These clowns out here trying and failing to start Gamergate 3, Edmondon and his crew and their conspiracy theories. This has to be a simulation. There's no other explanation. Now, you can see here from what Edmund talking about that maybe that this guy is a government plant, basically trying to say like, yeah, he was on our team. Oh, it turns out he's going too far down the field. And I'm talking about just the fact that he got triggered because there's some black people in this game just seems really weird, because even if you look at just history, even if you were saying, yes, this is France or this was Paris, like, yeah, that like it doesn't align to any logical conclusion. It honestly frustrated me. I know I put out a spicy tweet on the lines because of that, and that's one of the reasons why I want to sit here and talk about it. Expedition 33 has done so much good. It highlights one simple truth that everybody, I guess at the end of the day, knows to be true. It's that gamers want to play good games. Now, some of these quote unquote gamers are more just about the online game, the attention game. And that's when I think one key difference is it. Whether you fall left, right, whether you feel this game, you like turn-based combat or not, this game in and of itself has single-handedly, absolutely dominated online, and I'm all in for it. I want to hope that this video encourages you, if you're on the fence, to check it out. If you're not on the fence and you've played it, hopefully this brings you a lot of joy to see that one game can do so much positive good in this. And you might be like wondering about this third section. What's the positive good here? I always believe it is better to know who somebody is. So when they tell you who they are, it is a real gift to you. It removes the mystery of everything. It really does highlight so many great things that can be built from here. And that's just the way I view it. Again, I'm an optimist. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I would like to always look at and try to find the good in people and work towards that. And I think one of the things that I keep seeing online is that this game, no matter where you fall, really is tripping people up, and it is, if nothing else, entertainment at the end of the day. Now, all that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up with just a special message to those of you who especially are new to my content and my channel and are out there struggling. I'm a struggler myself. We've all been there. And I'm going to tell you, especially man to man, depression is no joke. And if you are struggling right now, like, note that you're not alone. Most people that have watched this video or are a part of this community, or if nothing else, have gone through some form of depression in their time in their life. And I want you to take it seriously, but I want you to know that there is hope, that in the darkest of the corners of this world, in the darkest corners of your mind, your brain is lying to you. You're not alone. You're not worthless. You are wonderful, and you're wonderfully made. And I think, and I believe truly As soon as you can start to believe that, you can start working on yourself and building it up. Now, I like to give a little bit of practical advice. Now, I will always encourage, especially if you're having some dark thoughts, therapy is not a sign of weakness. It's absolutely a sign of strength. This is not an ad read. This is me just trying to tell you that you're loved. That being said, I find that for me, some of the practical things are easy wins. Sometimes it can be as simple. I would describe depression as sometimes that blanket in bed is so heavy it is impossible to get out. Make a goal, wiggle your toes, blink your eyes, take a deep breath. Like, if that is the level you're in, just do something so simple. Give yourself a task and complete it that you can do. I always like to recommend take a shower, brush your teeth, and get some movement in your life. Those are some simple things. Oh, also to make your bed. Those simple tasks are also easy wins, and for whatever reason, they unlock something in our brains that really bring us to getting stuff done and really start to move us in a positive direction. I think you can. You need to believe in yourself, because whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So I'm going to encourage you to believe in yourself and do the work. Also, last bit before we wrap up this message of hope, that's what we like to call these little things at the end of videos. I would encourage you, it's more important to reach out and tell your friends that you're struggling and have a conversation with them, because they'd much rather have that conversation with you than attend your funeral. And I want to encourage you to do everything you can to fight for your life, because the planet is better off that you're in it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. And if you did, I really hope I'll see you sometime in another video. But outside of all that, guys, I wish you all the very best. God bless and take care.